He who does not know what the world is does not know where he is, and he who does not know for what purpose the world exists does not know who he is, nor what the world is. A message from the 1st century for those of you who are striving to learn and progress. I lay this gently in your lap. I do so without the slightest fear that it will completely turn your world upside down, bring you health, wealth, success, and happiness, provided you understand and accept. Remember, TNT is a dangerously highly explosive substance, so if you embrace it, treat it gently. Over the centuries, its power has destroyed those who have tried to abuse it. Therefore, exercise great caution that it is used only for good. Everything can be proven by the teachings of the Bible, certain firmly established laws of physics, and, last but not least, simple common sense. Listen and decide for yourself if the evidence I offer stands for itself. Some of you may only see the spiritual side, others may recognize the scientific truths, and still others may simply accept it as a practical operating tool to get you on the road to success. Many know the truth, and for those of you who will open your minds, the light will stream in with blinding white brilliance. I am indebted to an old friend of mine, an expert in X-rays and high-frequency electrical devices, who, when I was a boy experimenting with electricity, put the first piece of powerful TNT in my pocket. At the time I didn't know what it was and didn't understand it, but luckily it has stayed there all these years. Looking back, I understand why he didn't let me understand what it was. He believed in me and knew I would accept it when I was ready. It took me almost 30 years of searching for the secret. All that time there was something in my pocket within my grasp. However, I now have a firm grip on it and will share it generously. Know that if used wisely, it will sweep away all obstacles and pave the path you want to travel throughout your life. For many years I was a newspaperman and often behind the scenes. I met great men and women, interviewed famous people. Of course I studied them and tried to understand what special qualities they possessed that set them above the rest. But their secret eluded me. Then came the war, and I wondered why others were making progress while I seemed too blocked in my own ambitions. However, the war taught me that I can sleep in mud, eat moldy bread, and laugh afterwards. This is part of my TNT, so remember what I learned. It helped me punch that old fear in the solar plexus, and I think it will help you too. Hoping to find a royal road to riches, I read hundreds of the so-called success books, and they led me nowhere. I did the same with books on philosophy, psychology, and still the great secret remained just one step ahead of me. I joined secret fraternal organizations in the hope that I might find what I was looking for. However, the secret was in every book, in the great order, everywhere, and actually right under my nose. But something stopped me, and now I have done my best to present it to you. After the war, I became a member of an investment banking organization operating all along the coast, and over the years I cherished a pretty big dream, like thousands of others in all walks of business, only to discover that the castles in the air I was building were on shaky foundations. Something that turned the world completely upside down financially completely destroyed my castles in the air, and I got scared. I got lost in the fog. Everywhere I looked, something was falling on me. As the leader of the organization, my responsibilities multiplied. Our business was facing a crisis due to the economic changes that were taking place around the world, and many people who did not understand the disaster that had befallen business everywhere were critical. All this led to worries and many sleepless nights. I dreaded going to work for fear that each day would bring additional misery. The weeks went by, and the conditions got worse and worse. I was at a loss. Several times I talked about giving up the business, and one day, at the end of June 1931, I made the decision to leave. I mentioned it to one of the women I had been working with for several years and saw reproach in her eyes. That night I tried to sleep. Once again, it was impossible. I paced back and forth for hours when suddenly, around 3:30 in the morning, I stopped and sat down. I could give in to the urge to escape and let the others carry on alone, or I could stay and do my bit, a duty I knew was too much for me. I found myself almost saying out loud, "Right is right. It was always right. It can't be any other way." This was something I had been taught since childhood. Suddenly, something seemed to unfold. A voice came out of nowhere and asked, "What have you been searching for all these years? What have you been learning? Where have you been? Where are you going?" The royal secret. I jumped up and shouted, "I know it! I have it now. It's the secret. That's what they wanted to teach you. It's the royal secret." Something told me that I would find these exact words in a book that had been given to me many years before, which I had tried to read, had not understood, and had put aside. It was written by a great man, Albert Pike, a mystic, poet and scholar. I grabbed it off the shelf, flipping feverishly through the pages. The words were there, and I understood them immediately. Now I had the key. I could see a wide, smooth highway, and at the end of that highway, a perfect flood of beautiful, radiant light. "That's the road you're on now. What a simple-minded fool you have been. They tried to teach you, they tried to help you, and you closed a mind, believing that you alone could find the path and stay on it." I was almost overwhelmed with the pure joy of it all. My fears, my worries were gone. I smiled. I knew I was right, and that from now on everything would be all right for me. I slept like a baby. There was a different atmosphere in our office that day. The oppressive black clouds hanging over us began to dissipate. I told the woman with the reproachful eyes what had happened, and she gave me a knowing smile. She helped me get back on track, and I can never repay her. As one learned man said, "We are all born with the ability to distinguish between right and wrong, and we are born with the ability to accomplish anything. But some of us have to run full tilt into a stone wall and smash ourselves to pieces before we really know what we're about." I hit the wall with a huge thud, and it was the biggest and best thing that ever happened to me. Many who noticed the transformation asked for an explanation. I told some of my best friends, and now here I am telling you because I know I can do good. The morale of our entire organization was at an all-time low. Everyone was discouraged, scared. Due to the necessity of things, we had to do a U-turn. My job was to do everything I could to help the others, because I knew it was the right thing to do. At first I was undecided about what methods to use to help them, but I used my own system to address the subconscious. An inner voice told me to talk to them. Some were skeptical, but I said to myself, I can prove I'm right. And during the weeks that followed, I spent every waking hour reviewing the books I had studied over the years. Of course, the Bible came first. Then came studies on yoga, the philosophy of the ancient Greek and Roman masters, and the later teachers and students. I reconsidered the meditations of Marcus Aurelius, Lars Hudson's Law of Psychic Phenomena, again another book, The Spirit World, written by a brilliant Dr. Hayden Chester. Again I studied my books on physics, electricity, and those on the vibrations of light, and discovered that not only was I right, but that, strangely enough, the same general principles ran throughout. I reread numerous books on psychology and found the same story everywhere. I then quoted excerpts, and lo and behold, things began to move. It has always struck me that all the men and women who use this power, to use the words of my newspaper days, are headliners, the ones who make the front page. Something makes them throw away the bushel basket they hide their heads under, and they rise above the mundane. Many have mastered the art of reporting, the science of war, banking, statesmanship, politics, the arts, but they are all in the full spotlight, headliners. The number is legion. I'll name just a few: Nero, Julius Caesar, Christopher Columbus, Cleopatra, Balzac, de Maupassant, Sir Isaac Newton, Joan of Arc, Cromwell, Edgar Allan Poe, Benjamin Franklin, Alexander Hamilton, Bismarck, Graham Bell, General Grant, Cecil Rhodes, Clemenceau, Winston Churchill, Henry Ford. Everyone uses this power, I'm sure. I think he is the greatest headliner of today. You can find a lot of pictures of him in modern, civilized clothes, but for several years he has cut his hair short, wears a loincloth and a pair of huge glasses. I have no right to say that Gandhi adopted this attire for any particular reason, but I believe he did it to draw the world's attention to himself and the cause of India. I make no attempt to explain why those who have this power are headliners. You have to find that out for yourself. The true greatness of a man lies in the consciousness of an honest purpose in life, founded on a just estimate of himself and everything else, on frequent self-examination and a steady obedience to the rule he knows to be right, without caring what others think or say, or whether they do or do not do what he thinks, says, and does. Marcus Aurelius. There are thousands, even millions of people who are seeking the secret, the key to health, wealth, happiness, contentment, to solving their problems, and I am sure that you too can acquire this key if you apply the ideas contained in this audiobook. What do you want? Where are you going? 1,000,000 watermelons. On a Mississippi shore, 2 men were dozing. One of them yawned, stretched his arms and sighed, "Man, I wish I had 1,000,000 watermelons." The other man said, "Rastus, if you had 1,000,000 watermelons, would you give me half of them?" "No." "Would you give me a quarter of it?" "No, I wouldn't even give you a quarter of it." "Rastus, if you had 1,000,000 watermelons, wouldn't you even give me 10 of them?" "No, I wouldn't even give you 10 of them." "Well, wouldn't you give me 1 miserable watermelon?" "Say, Sam, I wouldn't even give you a bite of one if I had 1,000,000 watermelons." "Why not, Rastus?" "Because you're too lazy to make a wish for yourself." There's a lot to learn from this story. I am fully aware that some will scoff. There have always been mockers, but mockers never succeed. They never get anywhere in life. I suppose there is no intelligent man or woman who is not genuinely interested in getting ahead. But I've often wondered if most of us don't have a negative trait that prevents us from really getting started. There's a saying, if you believe it, it is. Perhaps just a cryptic statement, or rather a summary of what I am giving you. All great teachers like Confucius, Mohammed, Jesus, and many philosophers taught one big basic idea. It can be found in all religions, cults, creeds, and sects. The same general theme can be found everywhere. If you believe it, then it is so. As a man thinks in his heart, so he is. If you believe it, it is so. Boil the whole thing down to one word: belief. I have heard many people say that the days of miracles are over, but never in my life have I heard a thinker, a student or a believer make such a statement. Surely the days of Aladdin and his lamp are over. Perhaps they never existed. So too with the magic wand, the flying carpet, and all those things from fairy tales and legends. When I speak of miracles, I mean the things that can be achieved through faith. Believe in your conviction, believe in yourself, believe in the people you are connected to, believe in a force, believe in something that controls everyone's destiny. And if you have that belief and can dissolve the negative side, nothing in this world can stop you from attaining what you desire. We all tend to calculate and weigh things up, allowing the negative side to come to the fore. Our thoughts express themselves in remarks like, "This can't work, I'm scared, what will happen if I do it? It's not worth the effort," and similar verbal alibis. If you have not already expressed these thoughts yourself, then others have expressed them to you. Through the power of suggestion, you have accepted them as your own conclusions. This same message has been written and delivered thousands of times. It is found in the Bible, in the great brotherhoods. It guided the 3 wise men. The Crusaders carried it. Every outstanding personality in history has used it. Moses, Alexander the Great, Napoleon, Shakespeare, Washington, Lincoln, Roosevelt, Wilson, Benjamin Franklin, Edison, and thousands of others had a grip on this something. History has used it. The sages of all times, the medicine men, religious leaders, great teachers, yogis, the healers, the miracle men, they all knew this secret. They were all human beings. If they knew it and could achieve it, so can you. Believe, trust only that, and the ability of a firm believer to pass it on to the other. That is the keynote of all great religions. All great things are started by one person, by one believer. It doesn't matter where they originally got the idea from. All great inventions are the result of the whole scheme. Believe in yourself, your ideas. All supersellers know this. They use the power. That's why they are supersellers. Every community action, every forward movement, everything of value succeeds because a person has faith and is able to pass it on and share it. Think about it, meditate on it, and you will realize that every word is true. Many envy the man or woman who gets ahead. They envy their financial success, their power, their influence. Have you ever looked for the explanation? Everything anyone has ever done constructively has been done by them. Each of us, if put on the right path, can achieve what he or she envisions. If you believe, it is so. Where there is a will, there is a way. Get that willpower, that belief going, every minute of the day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. I promise you, if you do this, you will leave those around you behind you in the progress you make as quickly as high-frequency electrical discharges vibrate through the ether. A voice within me speaks. Mahatma Gandhi, on his arrival in England to seek a solution to India's problems, said, "I am doing this because a voice within me speaks." Gandhi was talking about something that came from within. Call it a power, call it something supernatural, call it whatever you like. Some refer to it as the subjective consciousness, others call it the subconscious, some instinct. Still others refer to the impulses that come from within as hunches, divine messages. Spiritualists refer to it as a voice from beyond. Whatever it is, it brings results, and now I'll show you how to acquire it. The connection between the conscious and the subconscious. The connection between the conscious and the subconscious or subjective mind is close. Any student of the subject knows what can be achieved by making clear contact with the subconscious mind. If through the process of repetition you can create a clear, detailed picture in your conscious mind and activate the subconscious mind, you have a power at your disposal that is astounding. There can be no denying that once you make up your mind to do something, it will get done. But the problem with most of us is that we evade, vacillate, and rarely decide what we want or clearly determine the path we want to take. All the daydreams and wishes would become reality if we had them constantly in front of us, leaving fear behind, pushing away all the reservations, all the ifs and buts. Again, many of us think we know what we want when in reality we don't. It sounds paradoxical, but if each of us knew what we wanted, we would get it, provided we had the will, the perseverance, the dynamic power to go after it. If you now have the desire, the foundation has been laid. Get a perfect, detailed picture of the thing or things you want. He who knows how to plant will not see his plant uprooted. The one who knows how to hold will not have anything taken from him. So, when you have the picture firmly in your mind, start repeating it. This will let the little voice speak from within and show you exactly and scientifically how to proceed to get what you want. As you move, all obstacles will become phantoms. The idea is to have the image or images constantly in front of you, to help you visualize the things you want and to keep them in mind at all times. Write a word picture of them on several small cards. Keep them with you at all times and look at them as often as possible, always with the thought in mind that the more often you look at them, the firmer the impression will become on your consciousness. For example, hang a card above the mirror so that you can look at it while shaving in the morning. Let the details of your wishes on the card grow as you develop the mental image. Have another card ready to look at lunch or dinner. Use the cards again briefly before you go to sleep and persevere. Supplement this method with the use of a mirror. Study yourself in the glass. Look deep into your eyes. Get to know yourself. Sooner or later, you will see the reflections of your desires in your mirror every time you look into it, and your daydreams will gradually take shape. Once you have clearly defined the images, don't let them escape for a moment. Hold on to them with steel bands. Constant practice, writing down your wishes and using a mirror will all work wonders. Soon you will be able to form the images as you wish, without the use of cards or mirrors, and you will find that you are tapping into the subconscious almost automatically. Remember, this whole subject is as old as the universe. The only thing I am doing is giving you practical instructions. The effectiveness of prayer. I assume that most of you have learned the effectiveness of prayer. Think for a moment. It is the desire, the prayer, that constant repetition. Keep in mind that, as I said before, you are appealing to the subconscious mind, that almighty force behind it, that omnipotent force, a supreme intelligence or whatever you want to call it. It's easier to go with the flow than to fight against it, but you have to harmonize with others, with everything around you. Not only let your breath act in harmony with the air that surrounds you, but let your intelligence now be in harmony with the intelligence that encompasses all things. The law of compensation. Meditate for a moment, and you will realize that I am giving truths that many may have forgotten. There is the great fundamental law of compensation that sets all things right. There are no hard and fast rules for anything, because some of us act one way and some of us act another, just like two people crossing the river, only over different bridges. But in the end, they both get to their destination. It's the result that counts, and if you think carefully about what you want and follow the simple rules given here, everything you want will be yours. Miracles will be accomplished. You will do what you previously thought impossible. It is not advisable to tell anyone about your wishes or desires, your innermost ambitions. Keep it to yourself, because if some people find out what you are striving for, they could put obstacles in your way. If obstacles happen to fall in your path or are placed there, climb over them or walk past them whistling happily. Remember that only you can stop yourself. I know it, I believe it, and it is so. Look inside yourself. Inside is the fountain of goodness, and it will always bubble up. Be careful how you use the power that will be yours. It will act like a boomerang and destroy you and everything you hold dear if you use it for evil. Therefore, use it only to do the greatest good for you and others, and to bring happiness to you and those around you. Do not talk or brag about what you have done for others. Your good deeds speak for themselves. Just continue to be grateful that you are on your way. That is enough. What is personality? What is it that, when you are in the presence of another person who has personality, captivates you? What is it that makes you feel their mere presence, that you are overshadowed by that person? It is nothing other than a dynamic force, coupled with willpower, that draws from this vast reservoir of the subconscious. There are millions of people who have this personality. Some say it is simply in their nature. Perhaps it is, in which case they use this power unconsciously. In other words, it's sort of come to them, and when this thing called personality is backed up with willpower, something moves. When I try to push through an idea, I first have to believe in the idea. I have to dream it, eat with it, sleep with it. I have to have it with me every moment of the day until it becomes a part of me. You need to know what you're talking about, and only hard, personal, intelligent study will allow you to do that. One more thing. Stay informed about what is happening in the world around you. Wake up, know what is going on around you. Stay in step with worldly affairs. The better informed a person is, the better equipped they are to get what they want. Remember that knowledge is power. He who knows others is wise, but he who knows himself is enlightened. Study, learn, and work. Develop a keen sense of observation. Become alive to yourself, and you will transfer it to the other. Acquire confidence, enthusiasm, and you will create similar vibrations around you. This is the theory of all life, as old as the world itself. Like begets like. A laugh begets a laugh. A good deed begets a good deed. Wealth begets wealth. Love begets love, and so on. The ancient law of attraction, formulated in Ampere's theory of electric magnetism, states that parallel currents in the same direction attract each other. When they are out of tune and antagonistic, they upset others and make them antagonistic, because parallel currents in opposite directions repel each other. Every physical movement tells a story. Each one characterizes your personality. Take a close look at yourself in the mirror and question yourself again and again. You know whether you have it or not. If not, decide to get it. You can and you will get it when you decide. If you develop that intensity, that determination to move forward, determination will soon be visible in your eyes. It takes an affirmative type to make progress, and you can transform yourself into an affirmative type. Every day, in every way, I am getting better and better. Always keep in mind what you want, and what positive thoughts will in turn be passed on to the subconscious. Think of health, wealth, and happiness, and they will all be yours. It can't be any other way. We all know people who constantly talk about back pain, headaches, or other types of pain. They almost insist on it. The constant repetition makes the pain a reality. If you have such pain or discomfort, there is no reason to talk about it. Likewise, there is no reason to talk about your worries, your problems. Don't talk about them. Don't think about them. Then they won't be in your head. It's the repetition that keeps them there. Reverse the process. Move away from the negative side and become an affirmative type. Think affirmatively, and your pains, worries, and problems will disappear. If you are tormented by something external, it is not this thing that bothers you, but your own judgment about it. And it is in your power to eradicate this judgment now. But if something in your own disposition causes you pain, who is to stop you from correcting your opinion? If a train thunders across the tracks in front of you, what do? Surely you won't put the train in reverse and back up. You will slam on the brakes and bring your car to a halt. Once the train has passed, you continue on your way. If things go wrong around you, just slam on the brakes, turn off your engine until you can clearly see the road ahead. No power in the world, except your hand, can shift your car into reverse. So when you find yourself in reverse, remember that you alone got yourself there. We are living in a great crisis. There is an unlimited need for courage and bravery in human history, but there is no cause for despair. On the one hand, there is the path to such achievements, to such wealth and happiness as mankind has never known. Life as we know it now sometimes tastes very good. We spoil a lot for ourselves and for others through fear, foolishness, hatred, quarrels, mistrust, and anger. There is no reason to go on with this. We do not have the health we could have. We don't have 1/10 of the happiness we could have. But it is within the power of the human will to change all that. H.G. Wells. That power, that vital energy or whatever it is inexhaustible, and it's so easy to use it if you just have the key. Successful people are not the result of what others have made of them, but what they have made of themselves. There are only two ways to move, forwards and backwards. So why not move forward? You can shift your gear and move forward. When fear rules the will, nothing can be done. But when a man casts fear from his mind, the world becomes his oyster. To lose a little money is nothing, but to lose hope, to lose nerve and ambition, that is what makes men castaways. Robert Newton. Find out exactly what you want and use the methods given, and you will discover that more doors are open to you than you ever dared to dream. I am not interested in any prophetic declarations. I am interested in results. A light will dawn on you, and you will see clearly how you can achieve what you are striving for. The conscious mind must be put into a receptive state. Before I close, I should say that conscious thinking needs to be put into a receptive state in order to get the ideas from subjective or subconscious thinking. Of course, we all know that it is the conscious mind that weighs, that calculates. The subconscious mind does none of these things. It simply passes ideas on to the conscious mind. You've probably heard it said before, follow your hunches. But what are these hunches? Where do they come from? They come from the work of the subconscious. Psychologists tell us that they have to put the human mind in a receptive state. By relaxing, you become calm. Meditate. Go into the great silence. Keep meditating, and your problems will dissolve into nothingness. When you have achieved this, concentrate on what you want. Then come the intuitions. Grasp them and act them out as the little voice tells you. Do not discuss or argue, but do what you are told, and do it immediately. Do what you are told. The path before you will be illuminated, and your burdens will gradually fall away. If you are shy or reticent, it is because of yourself. Don't blame the stars. Don't blame society. Don't blame the world. Just shift gears and start moving. Like attracts like. If you provide a service, you will receive huge dividends. There's nothing mysterious about it. There simply is. I am the master of my destiny. I am the captain of my soul. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. I know it, I believe it, and that's the way it is. If you remember anything of what I have said, then I have achieved something. Listen to it again carefully, and then again a week later. If you put the ideas presented to you into practice, you will soon realize that I have given you truths that are as old as man himself. They have always worked, and they will always work. Make them a part of your daily life, and you will succeed. Believe, have faith, and you will get the golden key to yourself.